Welcome to the Maywood Property Owners Association. The common grounds of Maywood were originally platted as streets by J.F. May in 1922, and each property's abstract contains the entry that the streets, avenues, and alleys are reserved to private use. The streets adjacent to Lake Okoboji that were never developed have been used historically by various individuals and groups over the years and have become common ground for the residents of Maywood. Prior to 2012, there were 3 dock permits issued by DNR to the 2 common grounds in the revised Maywood plat. The first permit is on the South Common Ground and was issued to the Freeburg families, who appear to have riparian rights. The second, South Common Ground permit to Jim Ude was for 1 dock with 8 hoist positions. The third dock permit was issued to the Maywood Association for 2 docks on the North Common Ground, allowing 20 hoist positions. Jim Ude was the administrator for the Ude permit on the South Common Ground. Charlie Scheel was the administrator for the Maywood Association permit on the North Common Ground. Both groups were informal associations with no bylaws, meetings, or records. In the summer of 2012, the Gilligans were given permission by Mr. Scheel to put in a hoist on the south dock of the North Common Grounds. Because of miscommunication, the company that installed the hoist moved the hoist belonging to the Nielsen's and the Brandstetters without their permission. This incident triggered a series of events that led to a debate over hoist position allotments. Property owners Mark Solon and Dave Schmidt called a private meeting with Jim Heitbrink, Greg Schatz, and Keith Brandstetter. They established themselves as a board of directors of the Maywood Association with a 5-year term. There were no minutes to the meeting. There was no prior notification to the Maywood property owners, and there were no election of directors by the Maywood property owners. Additionally, Dave Schmidt offered to pay the attorney fees to get the existing hoist positions deeded to the properties of the current hoist position holders, except for the Gilligans, effectively eliminating any possibility of a hoist position being granted to anyone else in the Maywood plat. The meeting ended with a comment by Jim Heitbrink that there was no need to tell anyone about the meeting until Dave Schmidt's attorney had accomplished attaching the hoist position to their properties for perpetuity. Mr. Schmidt currently owns 3 houses on the lake and 2 backlot houses in Maywood. He quitclaimed 1 house to his children and the other house as a hoist position used by Mr. Schmidt's priest. Both backlot homes are rarely occupied, but they have been given hoist positions by the Maywood Dock Association. Keith Brandstetter felt this action was unethical and illegal due to the exclusion of the other Maywood property owners, and he organized a meeting of all the residents of the north end of the Maywood plat. An association of all of the North End owners was formed. Keith Brandstetter, Mark Solon, Greg Schatz, Mike Klumper, Jim Sonius, and Lauren Holderness were elected to the board of directors. The name Maywood Dock Association was chosen, although it was not incorporated nor recorded. Subsequently, government officials recommended that the association needed to include all of the property owners in the revised Maywood plat, which encompasses all the properties on the north and south ends of Maywood west of Terrace Park Boulevard and all of the properties on the east side of Terrace Park Boulevard in Maywood. In 2013, the 3 dock permit holders, Freeburg, Ude, and the Maywood Association, received a letter from DNR indicating that the Maywood Homeowners Association, which did not exist, should be signing off on the dock permits. In response to that letter, Jim Ude, Keith Brandstetter, and Joe Weir, along with other like-minded Maywood residents, went about the business of creating an association that represented everyone in the Maywood plat. Letters were sent to all of the property owners in the Maywood plat. A committee was elected to develop bylaws and oversee the election of a board of directors. Brandstetter, Jim Ude, Joe Weir, Craig Miner, and Steve Olston were elected to the board of directors, and the Maywood Property Owners Association was born. The MPOA was incorporated, recorded. The MPOA bylaws were patterned after the bylaws of Francis Seitz, which had a similar situation a few years ago. Soon thereafter, the Maywood Association sent cease and desist letters containing accusations that were not accurate to the duly elected board members of the MPOA. The letter appeared to be an attempt to intimidate the recently elected MPOA board members. During the last Maywood Association meeting on 10 May 2014, the board told members they had spent nearly $8,000 of its members' money for attorney fees for the cease and desist letter, bylaws, title search, filing a warranty deed, and issuing Class A stock certificates to the 20 hoist position holders on the North Common Ground in an attempt to tie their hoist positions to the sale of their property. Here is an excerpt of Mark Stawn explaining how the legal funds were spent.
Well, in discovery, and when we had put or I should say recorded our bylaws through the parcel land, we found out that someone else, the Maywood Property Owners Association, had already put bylaws on there. They had recorded different things and attached it to that. So we went a step further. Our lawyer then contacted the county attorney here for Dickinson County, and they had a conference. That amounted to a certain amount. Then we had determined from a survey that had been done that there was 35 feet the distance of our property line, or that area, that had no ownership. With that, we consulted again with the county attorney, which reaffirmed that. With that, we had an abstract drawn up, and a title opinion, and a warranty deed, which have all been filed, of that 35 feet. That in itself is what, $4,000.
Though the Maywood Association has filed a warranty deed in Dickinson County, the county auditor has not granted ownership of the North Common Ground to the Maywood Association. It is the opinion of the county attorney, auditor, treasurer, and recorder that until there is some adjudication, no one owns the common grounds. The stock certificates issued by the Maywood Association have no legal standing. Quite simply, the Maywood Association is attempting to take control of a common ground that was never theirs to take. The common grounds have customarily provided lake access to the residents in the Maywood Plat. The Maywood Association members are spending thousands of dollars to make a property grab to increase the value of their property at the expense of other, more vulnerable Maywood residents. In closing, there has been a long history of nepotism, cronyism, and greed in the process of denying or granting hoist positions. The MPOA sincerely hopes that the DNR sees the wisdom of establishing the Maywood Property Owners Association as the authorized entity to sign off on the dock permits, so that there will be a fair and equitable use of the natural resources contained in the revised Maywood Plat.